Without a doubt, the hammer is the most complex technical event in track and field. Not only must one possess a great deal of strength and speed that we discussed in the weight events conditioning program, but one must have a great deal of patience to develop the skills necessary for this event. At the University of Oregon, we've been blessed with a number of outstanding hammer throwers. One of them, Ray Burton, is now the weight events coach at Oregon.
In this program, we will look at the basic skills needed by all beginning hammer throwers. To accomplish this, we will break the hammer throw down into 5. These are the stance, the winds in starting position, body and hammer positioning, along with footwork, and lastly, the finish.
The first thing to become familiar with in the stance is the hand grip. The implement used in collegiate competition weighs 16 pounds, while its high school counterpart only pounds, but both are gripped in the same way. The hammer sits out to the right of the thrower if he is right-handed and is grasped with the left hand. The hammer handle should rest on the small finger joints just at the end of the left hand, and the right hand is placed over the top to secure the hammer. A glove is worn by most throwers to protect the left hand. When getting ready to begin a throw, place the feet just slightly wider than shoulder width, with the right foot slightly behind the left foot. The upper body stays straight up and down with the chest out, head up, and knees slightly bent.
The next phase of the throw that we will highlight is called the winds. The winds are that phase to put the ball in motion.
In initiating the winds, the thrower should start the movement of the hammer with the body rather than the arms. The athlete can start the ball moving from between the legs and from right to left, as is shown here. Or he can start with the ball out to his left, as is shown here. Once the athlete has started the ball moving to his left and it has gone out beyond his left leg, a window position must be obtained in order for the ball to continue accelerating smoothly to the left and then around behind the athlete. The window position is where the right arm forms a 90-degree angle that the thrower can look through as the hands pass by to the left of the head. It is this position that not only continues a smooth acceleration of the ball left, also sets up the hand positioning behind the head as the ball moves behind the athlete. As the ball moves behind the athlete, a second window is formed with the left arm instead of the right, and it is more to the right side of the athlete's head. It is the positioning of this second window that continues to move the ball from behind to his right side. After the ball is moved just beyond the athlete's right shoulder, the left arm window extends straight out so as to continue the acceleration of the ball down the right side to a low point directly between the thrower's legs. So far, what we have described is just the movement of the arms. What we will now incorporate with this is the movement of the body and how it plays a part in accelerating the ball. There are 3 major points to remember when accelerating the ball on winds. First is to stay low, keeping the knees bent so that the center of gravity is low, thus giving a more stable base to wind from. Second is the tug-of-war position, which means that if the ball is pulling in one direction, the thrower will need to counter that force in the opposite direction with the body. This, as it is seen here in the winding motion, looks like a side-to-side hip shift. This tug-of-war positioning, along with the lowered center of gravity, is extremely important in order to wind and accelerate the hammer without getting pulled off balance. The last point to remember is that as the ball moves around behind the athlete and over his right shoulder, the athlete should utilize a slight pivot of the left foot, enabling him to straighten his left arm quicker, thus enabling him to pick up the acceleration of the ball sooner. This is called a catch position and will be explained in more detail later in the program. It is worth noting that while winding, the athlete's upper body and arms should remain totally relaxed. This will allow for the flexibility necessary to get maximum radius when winding the hammer.
This phase incorporates the winds just mentioned and adds the technique of the starting position.
This phase begins exactly the same as the last phase, except now instead of simply winding the hammer over and over, we are going to add the starting position, which will enable the athlete to start the first turn of the throw. At the end of the last phase, we mentioned the catch position. This is where the starting position begins. The catch allows the thrower to move his body ahead of the ball and is executed on every turn of the hammer throw to start and continue the acceleration of the ball. The catch begins when the ball is about 230 degrees into its arc. At this point, the thrower makes contact with the ball by straightening his left arm and using his body weight combined with gravity to accelerate the ball downward into the starting position. After the catch is made with the left arm straightening, the lower body moves into sit position, which is much lower than what is used to wind. The sit is where the thrower drops his body weight by driving his left heel down. At the same time, he bends his knees into the sit, shown here. Once the ball has moved out of the catch position and both right and left arms are straight, it is important to note what is called the triangle position. In this position, the head and eyes, arms, and hammer all move as a unit to the low point between the athlete's legs. It is extremely important to keep the shoulders level when doing this, or the low point of the ball will drift from between the legs to the left leg, which will create problems in timing. After the ball has reached its low point directly between the legs of the thrower, usually about 2 to 3 inches from the ground, the start of the footwork begins. Remember that the athlete is still in his position, legs bent, head and chest up, and shoulders level. As the weight shifts to the left and the ball passes its center low point, the thrower's left leg opens up or follows the ball to the left. This is accomplished by doing the double foot pivot, where the left foot pivots on its heel and the right foot pivots on its toe. Note that this pivot continues until the ball is about 90 degrees to the left. At this point, we can see that the thrower's left pectoral is straight above his left knee, and that the toes of both feet are 0 degrees away from the original starting position or in a straight line with the ball.
The next sequence that we will look at covers the movement of the ball, upper body positioning, and footwork.
To pick up where we left off, we see that from 90 degrees, the left foot continues to pivot along with the right until about 150 degrees. Then the right foot comes off the ground, leading with the knee upward. It continues moving upward until the right heel almost touches mid-calf of the left leg. While this right leg was moving into position, the left leg continued pivoting around until it reached 180 degrees, and the left foot plants and weight shifts from the heel to the toe. As the thrower's weight moves on to his left toe, and with the right leg in position at mid-calf of the left leg, the thrower initiates a jump pivot, where he forcefully tries to rotate around on his left toe. It is important at this point not to raise up or straighten the legs. Try to maintain the sit position through the jump pivot. This will keep the ball from pulling the thrower out of the ring when it reaches its high point at 180 degrees. As the jump pivot is completed, the right foot should make contact with the ground about 18 inches from the left foot. The right foot should land slightly under completed so as to allow for a good catch position, and the left leg should still be bent, keeping the center of gravity low. The purpose of the jump pivot is to allow the athlete to get ahead of the ball and set up for the catch position. Note that from the 150-degree point to the catch is the period in which the body accelerates ahead of the ball. From here, the thrower initiates the starting position all over again, with the left heel and body dropping into the sit position and the left arm straightening. It is extremely important to make sure as the ball is accelerated down from the catch for this turn and those that follow, that the shoulders stay level while the arms go down to the low point. Don't ever lead down with the shoulders. This motion from the catch to the center low point of the ball is known as the power phase of the throw. It is the period in which the power is transferred to the ball and the ball is accelerated. The second turn is done similar to the first turn, except that in this turn, the thrower must be sure to move faster in order to keep up with the accelerating ball. There will also be continuous adjustments in balance that will have to be made on each turn as the force of the hammer becomes greater. This balance can only be learned through throwing and making sure that the proper positions are being obtained. One aspect of hammer throwing that enters the picture once the thrower starts using multiple turns across the ring is that of linear movement. When the heel-toe movement is conducted properly, that is, when the left foot moves on the heel to 180 degrees and then shifts the body weight to the toe and the toe pivots so that the heel is ready to start again, it should take the thrower in a straight line across the ring from start to finish. It is the completion of each pivot and weight shift on the left side that is essential in accomplishing this. If a thrower does not acquire this linear movement across the ring, the hammer will simply be spinning in one place, and there will be no continuous acceleration from the start of the throw to the finish. The second turn is similar to the first, but because of the increase in force, there are some key areas to be considered. These are radius left, counter, and right leg position. As the ball increases in speed after the catch and through the low point from the first turn, it is essential to let the ball continue to move the weight left over the left leg. This will ensure maximum radius and acceleration. The next key point to consider is that of countering the force of the ball, pulling the thrower up in the ring as it reaches its high point at 80 degrees. As the athlete moves from this sitting position into the second turn, the ball will start on its path upward. As it does, there will be a force encountered that will have to be overcome if the athlete wishes to continue accelerating the ball. This can be done by relaxing the left leg as the thrower feels the force building. This will allow the thrower to use gravity and body weight to counter the force against the ball and allow him to successfully complete the jump pivot and continue accelerating the ball. When this movement is done correctly, the athlete will look as if he is staying level all the way across the ring. The athlete does not want to over-counter the force, otherwise it will throw the athlete into a jerky up and down motion as he turns through the ring. The last consideration is that of the right leg positioning. As the thrower turns faster, centrifugal force will tend to pull the right leg out further and further on each turn. This can be overcome by holding the right leg close to the left until the completion of the counter and pivot of the left leg. In the third turn, the three factors of radius, counter, and right leg positioning will all have to be attended to even more.
The last phase that we will look at is that of the finish position.
After the final catch, the thrower must be sure to drop the heel of the left foot to maximize acceleration of the ball as he did in previous turns. As the ball accelerates down, it is moved slightly left just inside of the left leg, and the body weight shifts from the heel of the left foot more towards the left toe, so that both feet now have the ability to pivot around. As the ball reaches its low point, it is then driven left again, ensuring maximum radius, and then upwards with arms relaxed and with the legs in an explosive upward motion similar to that in the power clean. As the hammer is accelerated around and up, the feet continue to pivot left. The hands finish high above the head as the ball is released at the high point of its arc. There should be little or no movement in the body once the hammer is released. The athlete should be able to stand at the front of the ring with his weight balanced just slightly above the left leg.
The hammer throw, because it is a very dangerous event, should only be done under the close supervision of a coach. This will not only avoid bad habits, but will also help reduce the possibility of injury. The technical principles that we have discussed in this program, I feel, will aid the thrower in not only understanding his event, but will guide him through the proper technical progression needed to learn this highly complex event.